I think everybody can hear me. Yes? Everyone's nodding, so I know. I've done hundreds of sessions, but this is my first silent one, so this is going to be very interesting.
Yes.
So, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to this session on Academia's Pulse in Knowledge Cities, Insights from the Leaders. My name is Sally Musa, and I'm absolutely delighted to be your moderator for this session. In the Islamic tradition, seeking knowledge is seen as a sacred act, an obligation upon every Muslim, and it's such a critical priority that the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, would even instruct the believers to seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave. And there are even some traditions where he said, seek knowledge, even if it's in China. 1400 years ago, for the desert Bedouins, that might have seemed near impossible, but these are the ideas that formed the seeds of what would become the Islamic Golden Age, illuminating the early knowledge cities of Baghdad, Cairo, and Fez, amongst others, where the world's oldest university, Al-Qarawiyyin, was in fact established by a woman named Fatima al-Fihri. Now, in the 21st century, China is not just a click away, but it is pivotal in shaping our world today. We not only have access to every knowledge center on the planet at our fingertips, but the methods and the lightning speed at which knowledge and information is both created and disseminated is completely transforming education, industries, and indeed entire economies. And so today we are taking a deep dive into how universities are shaping global hubs of learning innovation in this, the fifth industrial revolution. How leading institutions will drive interdisciplinary research and collaboration in today's knowledge cities. And we'll also explore the latest practices in preparing students for the often monumental and incredibly unpredictable challenges of tomorrow. We're also going to be examining the ripple effects of academic excellence on societal development in knowledge cities, and so much more. And just a bit of a reminder that there will be a chance for you to ask questions at the end of this panel as well. So make sure you are part of the conversation. Joining me for this discussion are three distinguished academics who represent different knowledge cities, both from their parent academic institutions as well as their respective branches. So I will start right at the end there. Professor David Sadler is Dubai Provost for the University of Birmingham. Great to have you, David. Gwyneth O'Gorman is Head of Strategic Planning and Head of Accreditation at Sorbonne University Abu Dhabi. Great to have you, Gwen. And Professor Dudley Reynolds is Senior Associate Dean for Education at Carnegie Mellon University, Qatar. Great to have you with us, Dudley. And so now let's begin with a sense of each of your unique contexts. Let's talk about how can universities strategically position themselves to play a central role in shaping global hubs of learning and innovation within knowledge cities. So if I can start with you, Dudley, please.
Yes, thank you. I think it's a fascinating panel because in part, each of us represents a different model of a knowledge city. And in Qatar, where I'm from, the Qatar Foundation has invited in 6 North American universities, all of them that are considered elite universities. But the interesting thing about the model in Qatar is that what they've done is they've invited each of us to come in and deliver degrees which are in fact our strengths. And so Carnegie Mellon University is world famous really for its quantitative approaches to knowledge. And so we've been invited to bring in 4 programs in Qatar. Computer science, which is a science degree, it's not an engineering degree. It's one of the leading computer science programs in the world, in fact. But similarly, we're bringing in a business administration program, but Carnegie Mellon's business administration program is world known for its analytical approach, right? It's a very quantitative approach to the study of business and business analytics. An information systems program, which is looking at issues of data management, data security, right? And data organization. And then finally, a biological sciences program, which also has a very quantitative dimension to it. And in fact, we offer courses in computational biology on our program. So we were brought in for these particular strengths, but we are co-located in Education City with Georgetown University's School of Foreign Service, which brings a geopolitical dimension to what you can study in Education City. Northwestern University, which has one of the leading journalism programs in the world. And so they're really focused on this notion of media and how it's shaping our future. Texas A&M provides the engineering component there, while Cornell has a medical program and health studies. And then Virginia Commonwealth brings in a design dimension. So you can see we're each brought in for our strengths. We're not competing with each other, but that primes us to collaborate. The final dimension, though, is what's in it for, in a sense, the home campus. What's in it for the university? And I think more than anything, what the university gets is a chance to take a curriculum that's developed for a single place, right, and a single group of students, and try it out and get in touch with issues that are, they're central here in the Middle East, right? They are central in a context which has changed so rapidly in the past 20 years. And it's a way of sort of seeing, are we up to speed, right? And I think that expanded network, that global footprint, is absolutely essential for what we call universities today, right? We cannot be simply regional anymore.
Amazing, and thank you so much for that, Dudley. And so over to you, Gwyneth, as well, to talk about particularly that global context and the relationship between Sorbonne, of course, in Paris and here in Abu Dhabi as well. And I think, it's interesting to kind of think, what is the exchange that's happening back again, not just from the West to the Middle East, but back the other way as well? Maybe we can think about that too. Yeah, I have more questions, but okay. I'll let you please take the stage.
Okay, well, Sorbonne University Abu Dhabi was one of the first international universities here in the UAE, certainly in Abu Dhabi. In 2006, it was Sorbonne University, at the time it was Paris Sorbonne, was invited by the ruler of Abu Dhabi to come and set up a university here and to offer the same programs that were being offered in Paris to students here with the same academic regulations. And initially we started off with a small offering of 6 programs, all in the humanities. Sorbonne is a World Top 100 university, and it is a beacon of excellence in the humanities. However, there was a big change in the academic world in France back around 2018, and there were several mergers of universities, and at that time Paris Sorbonne merged with the Pierre and Marie Curie University, and they merged also in terms of here they were able to offer some of the sciences and engineering programs. So what was initially a campus of humanities studies became a campus of what we like to call STEAM. So we were offering students access to the humanities and to some of the sciences, in particular physics and math. Also in that time, as part of the evolution here, what we've tried to do is we've tried to make sure that the university is in line with the vision of Abu Dhabi. So we've closely aligned a lot of our strategies and our programs and our research themes around the 2030 vision for Abu Dhabi. So as part of the evolution as well, we also started to look at other offerings within the humanities, within the social sciences. So we have University Paris Cité, have 7 programs that they're offering through the campus in Abu Dhabi in the field of law, in the field of health economics, in the field of management. So we're giving quite a holistic offering of programs now to align with the needs of Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi, of course, is the capital of the UAE. There are a lot of government agencies, government ministries there. So it's very important for us as well to be able to provide a certain level of education to support their needs. So in the last few years also we've been looking at diversifying and looking at lifelong learning solutions. So we've moved into the field of professional and executive education. Now I can just give you one quick example, if I may, about addressing the needs of the local government. We were approached by the National Archive and Library some years back, asking us to help them to develop their systems in terms of data management. So with the team back in France in the Department of History, we were able to develop a program here in collaboration with the needs of the local government. And we now have a bachelor's program in archival sciences and record management, a master's program in it, and we have professional programs as well, which are open to all, not just members of the actual National Archive. So that's just one example of where we've tried to continuously evolve our program offering to meet the needs of the market. Just very quickly, because as I said, it's a big university back in France. We bring visiting professors to teach on our programs here. And I would say the added value of that is that we have exposure to some of the leading scientists and researchers in France we are engaging here with our local faculty and students on topics that are very relevant and salient to the market here. One of those being, for example, marine studies and the ocean. So I think that's where we see our strength, and that's what we've tried to do, is we've tried to bring world-class education here, but also offer opportunities for students in Europe to come here and study. So students can do exchange programs from Europe to Abu Dhabi for a semester, for a year, for whatever, to get a feel of the local context here. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Nice. And that sets the scene quite well for what we'll be talking about later on, which is important collaborations and initiatives between here in the UAE and France and beyond as well. But David, I'd love to give you a chance to tell us more about the University of Birmingham.
Thanks, Sally. So Birmingham is different in the sense that it's part of the Russell Group of UK universities, the 24 leading research-intensive universities in the UK. We're also the newest kid in town, if you like. So we're the newest of the 3 universities represented here. We started in Dubai in 2018. And we're different in the sense that one of the defining features of the University of Birmingham is its breadth. So we say that we do everything apart from architecture and veterinary science. And we have nothing against architects or vets. It's just random chance of history. We don't do those 2 subject areas. So we chose to bring our breadth to Dubai. So if you like, what we chose to do was go early with a very broad range of subject areas. We have 50 plus different degree programs, even in our 6th year of activity. And that's because we think the interdisciplinary perspective that working together in different areas brings for staff and for students is an important part of our mix. So it's sort of like the Qatar story, but in a different way,
Yes.
if you like. And so we've gone big in our subject range very, very early indeed. But like Sorbonne also, we're a very civically engaged university. So Birmingham is a civic university. In the UK context, that means one that's born of its city, of its town, of Birmingham. And Birmingham is known for a variety of things, including railways. So one of our contributions is that we brought some of the skills of our Railway Engineering Centre, which is one of Europe's largest, in partnership with the Dubai's Road and Transport Authority, the RTA. So the RTA has its own research and innovation laboratory in our campus. It has the acronym TRIP, the Transportation Research Innovation Pavilion. So mobility in all its forms across the city of Dubai, across the UAE more widely, is an important part of what we think we are focusing upon within that breadth of what we do and that range of programs that we do.
That's actually an outstanding example in terms of collaborating with government entities here as well, and those kind of partnerships that we need to see. So I'd love to get more from you, Dudley, on that in terms of specific initiatives and that universities are undertaking to foster interdisciplinary research and collaboration. I know that, Gwyneth, you have a lot to add to that too. Please.
Yeah, so one of the interesting things about our branch campus in Qatar is we're located in a single building, right? So we have 4 degrees on the home campus in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Those 4 degrees are offered in very separate buildings on the campus. And so the faculty don't have a chance to come in contact with each other necessarily on a regular basis. And I know we talk a lot about technology facilitate education today and virtual education and remote. But those of us that live it on a daily basis know that there's really so much that happens through physical co-location. And so what we're experiencing in Qatar is what happens when you get a computer science faculty member and a business faculty member in the same building. And they came up with the idea, why aren't we doing or offering something that combines AI, which is a strength of our computer science program, and finance, which is a strength of our business program. We also are very aware of how academic credentials and the academic credentials that the world needs are changing. And so we're also exploring merging those 2 areas in the form of a certificate that we could offer to our students. And it's not just a combination of 2 courses from here, 1 course from here, but then we've added a capstone project so that the students actually have to bring it together and learn. So that's the kind of collaboration that started just from having different disciplines in the same building. But then we realized, hey, this is an interesting model. And it's one that also feeds to the potential of Education City in Qatar. So we're now in discussions, for example, with Northwestern University about creating an AI plus journalism certificate. So it's the same structure. We already have the ability for our students to take courses, individual courses at Northwestern. Theirs take courses with us. We have it's a very robust cross-registration. If one of our students takes a course at Northwestern, it even shows up on their CMU transcript and the course they took in the grade they got into it, and it feeds into their grade point average, right? Which is the US sort of metric for academic success. And so I think this is the kind of collaboration that can emerge in this knowledge city, right? When we bring together different expertises and really say, hey, what's greater than the sum of the parts?
And this is going to be really critical moving forward for some of the biggest, tackling some of the biggest challenges of our time, including climate change. And I know that Sorbonne University here in Abu Dhabi is doing a lot around that, particularly in the run-up to COP. So tell us more about what you're doing there, Gwyneth.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we were very excited in October last year with our colleagues at NYU in Abu Dhabi to meet with the team and the Director General of COP28 to talk about the role of universities in COP28. And an offshoot of that was the formation of a universities climate network. Initially, we were 8 universities here, mostly in Abu Dhabi. Now we're 27 universities across the UAE. And that has grown exponentially in relation to the amount of collaborative research activities that are going on. But beyond that, it's also been amazing because it's been a phenomenal opportunity for the silos that we universities are to kind of knock down those walls and start working together. It's also been a great opportunity because what we've been doing is we've been sharing events and activities with each other, engaging students from different universities to work with each other. And that's culminating in a number of events taking place at COP28, which starts in 9 days' time. So that's one example where I think the knowledge cities have worked very well to put their, I suppose, their scientific knowledge and their research capabilities to work together for the greater good of some of the salient issues that are going on. Individual universities are also working with their international universities with their teams abroad. We have, for example, 15 events taking place at COP28. And I think about 9 of them have participation with leading researchers from France. We're also doing a collaboration with the university in Brazil. So we will have an event at the Brazil Pavilion. And the other thing that I would like to just mention is that there was another initiative, which was the Youth COP, that came out again of these discussions 1 year ago. We had 300 students participated in the first gathering, which was a virtual meeting in May last year from 12 countries, from South Korea to Brazil. And the winning teams will be joining us next week at COP to present their declaration on climate change. And those are from Mexico, South Korea, Saudi Arabia. So, I think it's just so exciting and it's so wonderful that all of this came about thanks to the universities and thanks to the universities' leverage at a global level.
It's exciting to see these collaborations happening, like you say, at this global level. And David, I'd love for you to add to that.
Thanks, Sally. So one example I give is that amongst the range of programs that we teach, we offer education programs. We teach teachers from primary through to secondary education as well, which is quite distinctive amongst international universities in the UAE. And we're running a project which is funded and supported by what used to be called the UK's Foreign Office. It's now a longer title. It's the UK's Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office. But it's a project supported by the embassy in Abu Dhabi. And we're working with a number of schools, and we're working with the teachers and the kids in those schools around education for sustainability. So we're developing new materials for schools to work with in schools to understand how young people from all ages, from primary school onwards, understand the questions of sustainability, right through to, for example, in practical terms, planting mangroves in Jebel Ali, and working out what implications that has and how it's understood by children of various ages. So I feel like our education work in schools is what I would call a distinctive addition to the overall COP28 agenda, which is, of course, a vast agenda.
And as you say, David, there are so many different angles to take that from as well, and to be part of that change as well. Something that is really critical at this time is that idea of change. And Stephen Hawking said that intelligence is the ability to adapt to change. And so as technology advances in ways that we could never imagine, just a few years back, would love to explore how leading academic institutions are adapting their curricula to prepare students for the challenges and opportunities of an often volatile and unpredictable tomorrow. And what innovative teaching methods are we seeing being employed for that? We're seeing incredible changes. So Dudley, I'd love for you to speak to that.
Yes. So clearly at CMU, first of all, we're not only, we're bringing AI into our classroom in many different ways. We're also, because we have a computer science program, we are training students and developing students' ability to actually develop AI, right? We're currently in conversation with Qatar Foundation even about adding an undergraduate major in AI to our suite. But I think more broadly across the curriculum, I'm not a computer scientist. I'm an English professor, and I teach first-year writing. And it's, obviously ChatGPT changed the world of teaching writing to undergrads. But so in my classroom, what I've done is had students writing assignments and then getting them to write, ask the tool to write it, and then asking them to compare it, right? And a lot of my focus has been on the ability to critique and evaluate these products, because this is the human value add, right, with the technology. We've got to have intelligent users. I know other colleagues, for example, in our business faculty, who are feeding the ChatGPT information and getting it to write case studies for them, right? So in other words, it's creating pedagogical materials. We also are increasingly looking at ways to use AI to generate assessment information of our students, right? So we need to be monitoring student success, but we need to be doing it in a lot better way than we have been traditionally, which was to wait till the end of the semester, the end of the year, and say, you know, what grades did our students get? Whoops, somehow or another we failed that student, right? We shouldn't be making that determination when the course is over. We need to be making those kinds of determinations early in the semester. And so we're beginning to think about data that can be collected, data that can be analyzed. We are, as a university, prioritizing things like data dashboards that are living dashboards. So they're constantly being updated every time new information is gathered, right? And whether that's at a course level, a major level, or overall academic success. So I think all of these are ways in which AI is changing the educational experience and technology.
I think it's interesting that you're saying we can't wait till the end of the year. If you
Yeah.
wait till the end of the year, the actual technology has changed.
That too.
Let alone, you know, where we're at in terms of our learning. Do you think we're keeping up? Do you think we are able to keep up with these technological changes? And I say that specifically as, you know, you have a degree that is 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, sometimes more, and then what you've signed up to actually study, by the end of the degree, does it become obsolete? Please.
So
Yeah.
remember that there are really two components of learning, right? One is something that we may position it as skill, we may position it as knowledge that gets memorized, right? And you're right, that kind of knowledge often goes out of date. But if you think of the university experience as one where students learn to think about that kind of content knowledge, to analyze, to design, to plan, to learn to ask good questions, those are abilities that don't become obsolete, right? And so what the university experience becomes is a place to practice what they're going to be needing for the rest of their life, right? I mean, I tell my students when I give them a writing assignment, I say, think about it. In my class, I'm telling you what to write, I'm telling you who to write it for, I'm telling you how it's going to be evaluated. The reason is because when you leave the university, you're going to have to take on all of those roles every time you generate a written product. You're going to have to think, what's my task? You're going to have to identify an audience, how to connect with them. You're also going to have to think about how that audience is going to evaluate you. You're going to have to generate your own rubric. And so my classroom is simply, it's a role play for life, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that kind of role playing becomes obsolete.
These are lifelong skills.
Yes.
David, I can see you jumping
Yes.
on this one. Please go ahead.
So I'd add a missing link almost, really, which is entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So if you see it from a student perspective, one of the things our students enjoy the most, particularly in their undergraduate experience with us, is being encouraged to think entrepreneurially. We run a course for the whole first year in about 2 weeks' time, actually, every year. It's a block talk module for about a week long, and we bring in a whole range of external speakers around the experience of being an entrepreneur. We run a series of programs throughout the year in partnership. Dubai is full of business startup advisors and the like. We partner with several companies that come to our campus, work with students on ideas, on their generation, and that entrepreneurial thinking gives students of today, wherever they are, that edge, I think, which brings together the knowledge that they learn with applying it into a different new world context, a changing world context.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this is critical, thinking entrepreneurially. I love that you brought that in, because that is all about responding to change, responding to the problem of the moment. And how do we do that? Gwyneth, please, I'd love for your thoughts on this one.
I mean, I think both of my colleagues touched on it. I mean, critical thinking, critical inquiry skills are critical. And they've always been very much a part of the core education model in the French system.
Yes.
And if I'm from Ireland, even in the Irish system, it was very much like that as well. So I think, we need to be helping our students to learn how to question, to learn how to challenge. And I think that, with ChatGPT, and not just ChatGPT, with everything, there is so much information out there. And if we take everything at face value, where will that leave us? So teaching our students to being able to challenge, not being afraid of challenging, not being afraid of choosing to do things in a different way is something critical. And that's something that always underpins everything we do in universities. I think the other thing with universities and with how we're trying to evolve with pluridisciplinary programs, etc. So we have students, for example, registered in a physics program who's doing a component of cultural heritage. They're in labs we have students of the physics program and the cultural heritage program working together in labs on common themes. So I think those kind of options as well are really exciting for students and keep students engaged rather than them just becoming an expert in one particular discipline. So I think there are lots of things that we're working at. Is it enough? We're not sure, because as you rightly said, things are changing so quickly, but hopefully we'll be able to keep up.
Yeah, and it's about providing different ways of education, that the education model itself has to keep evolving and keeping up. And I can see you nodding to that as well there. It's very interesting because I have a 17-year-old who is about to go into university next year, and she's aiming high. And I asked her about this topic, and I said, I'm moderating this panel. And I said, but you can learn anything now online. And her response was, yes, you can. But she said these top universities don't exist so much as to provide people with information, but to keep them competitive and to give them the networks that they need to succeed at the highest levels. You can tell where she's thinking of going to university at this point, right? So I'd love to get your thoughts on that. What else is it? Yes, you can learn anything online these days from some of the greatest minds, but there are other critical elements, I think, as you've all kind of highlighted in terms of being able to collaborate at the highest levels. So, Dudley, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting because this course I keep coming back to is first semester, freshman. And one of the changes that I've seen since I started teaching in Qatar in 2007 is that students are coming in having done a lot of online learning, because they went online and they found, I can study this from this program. Let me start Python early. Let me, and so they're bringing in some of these experiences, and yet I think that, so what they're looking for from us is different. It is the network. It is the chance to interact with great minds, right? And I'm not trying to be boastful there, but I have incredible colleagues, right? And it's those discussions that challenge them. I think we need to also think about what a university experience provides outside of the classroom, right? We talk about the meta curriculum or the student affairs, the participation in clubs, the chances to work on independent research projects. One of my favorite examples of an entrepreneurial venture from Carnegie Mellon in Qatar was a group of undergraduates who were very frustrated with the university because they couldn't figure out which courses they needed to take in what order in order to graduate on time, because they were trying to go all over websites and look up, lists of requirements and stuff like that. And so they worked with one of our computer science faculty simply to develop an in-house solution that could be used to advise the students, right? And they named it for their faculty mentor, whose name was Mark Stellick. Stellick recently received, I believe it was over $10 million in venture capital funding. It is now used by universities across North America as an advising platform that harnesses AI technology to help students figure out the best pathway of courses towards graduation. It tracks it all, it incorporates advisor notes. It's an absolutely amazing platform, right?
And there are all kinds of examples of that happening as well. We're running out of time, coming to the end of the session. So I'm going to end on this question because the fourth industrial revolution was all about technology and how we can harness the power of technology. And now we're seeing the power of AI and other emerging tech as well, how it's transforming entire industries. However, what is the role of academia and elite universities in developing people into better human beings? Beyond science, beyond tech, beyond innovation. How are we developing people who are better human beings that not only can lead us to a more technologically advanced future, but can lead us to making better decisions that have people at the heart? That we understand that there is an intention behind everything that we do. Leaders who are empathetic, who are humane, and who are ethical. So I'll jump to you, David, on this side and come.
Thanks, Sally. So I think one of the fundamental values that we can help our students develop in the context that we all work in is cultural diversity.
Yes.
So we have 97 nationalities amongst our student base, and that brings an astonishing opportunity for every single one of those students to interact with students from around the world. And in a world where I'm a geographer by training, so I'm saying this with a sad heart almost, the world's getting smaller and boundaries becoming more porous, but the geography still matters. And so one of the values that we can instill in our students and help them to grow and develop with is understanding of the wider world and different perspectives from around the world. So I would, in my contribution, highlight and centre cultural diversity and different perspectives.
And do you feel that's really happening? Are we getting enough of a diverse perspective? Because some people might argue, okay, we're bringing these universities from the West to the Middle East. Are we just westernizing education, or is there an exchange that's happening from the Middle East back to Birmingham, back to Paris, back to Pennsylvania, to Pittsburgh?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I think that speaks to the heart, if you like, of projects like the three that we, in our own different ways, represent. Because they're not in isolation. They are part of global agendas for our institutions. And it's the different ways in which institutions navigate those relationships from our parent institutions, if you like, around the world, into the parts of the world where we're based currently. The navigation of those relationships, the webs of activity that takes place, both physical, intellectual, academic transactions that flow across those relationships, for students, for staff, for ideas, for knowledge, how universities manage that set of relationships is something that universities are quite new to. So we're relatively new to this world of managing across international borders. And I think universities would be the first to acknowledge that we're still in a learning curve ourselves about this process. But fundamental to it is where you started from, that if we're not connecting ourselves back to our roots and establishing an understanding of where those flows matter and shape both the campuses that we work at in Qatar and the UAE and our parent campuses in in the rest of the world, we are missing a trick. We are not delivering what we want to do.
Gwyneth, please.
I think one of the key words in any of the literature about the fifth industrial revolution is the human-centeredness. And I think, it's in universities we kind of have a duty of care to help the students and to enable the students to be able to use the technology in a way that works for them, to align it with this whole area of sustainability, which is at the core of a lot of students' hearts now. Students want to see this world be a better place. Students want to be a part of making this a better place. So I think that's part of, as I said, the duty of care of universities is to help with that and to bolster that whole human side of the technology.
Yeah.
Dudley. It almost
Yeah.
kind of like flows, from the fact that you're an English professor, I hope. But please go ahead.
Yeah, this is a question near and dear to my heart, obviously. But, the first way is you build in ethical thinking to the curriculum, right? We have a course called AI, Society, and Humanity, right? And a parallel course, AI, Society, and Ethics, right? That are developed by our philosophy department. And we offer them in Qatar. But you also constantly remind students that they're part of a larger world. And I don't think it's any secret that, especially in North America and the United States right now, universities are facing a lot of tough questions around free speech, diversity of political opinions, and my own home campus in Pittsburgh is not immune to this really painful struggle. But I'm quite proud of the students from my campus in Doha who were on exchange in Pittsburgh this fall, and who said, we're not going to be quiet. We have family, we have friends who are being impacted in a horrible way by violence right now. And they spoke up and they shared their opinion. It was not popular on our home campus. And many people said, no, how can you say that? How can you? And they said, because it's, this is our lived reality. And I think that they gave voice to concerns from this part of the world at a time when, if Carnegie Mellon hadn't had the connection with the Middle East, this voice would not have been heard back there. We also are already just beginning to think, what is our role going to be, quote, when the fighting stops? We have a large number of youth who no longer have a university to go to, no longer have a school to go to. The region as a whole is going to have to think, how do we deliver education? How do we step in for young people whose education has been interrupted? And a lot of that is going to need to be through technology. We're going to have to take the lessons we learned during the pandemic and see how fast can we step in to reach students and get them back up to speed. All right, this is what universities should be doing, right? We have abilities. We do know how to educate. And we also live in a world, and we've got to think about how that experience is relevant.
Powerful questions that we have never needed more than right now to be able to think about and
absolutely.
to answer. And I just love that we ended our panel here today on that note. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in thanking our incredible speakers, Professor David Sadler, Gwyneth O'Gorman, and Professor Dudley Reynolds. Thank you all so much. Amazing. Thank you.